Hi, hello, namaste. Welcome to Priya's Patashala. Today I am here with you to discuss about organisms and population, class 12 NCRT chapter. I am going to give you an overview about the chapter. In this, the chapter starts with giving an introduction about why questions in the life is how much important, followed by ecology definition, interactions among organisms and between the organisms and its physical environment. Then it proceeds towards the population characteristics and population interactions. In this chapter, as I told you, I am going to give you an overview on it. Populations has been characterized and has been divided this chapter into two things. One is population characteristics and another one is population interactions. Let me check on the population characteristics, also called as population attributes, which is given under the NCRT. It is unique to the group. It is unique to the group that cannot be applied to the individual in the group. That means here actually the chapter name is organisms and population. Here in NCRT you are going to see about only population. Organisms, it was there before, now it is deleted portions, omitted portions. When it comes to, as I told, population characteristics, it is like it is not attributed to an individual. You cannot stick to the individual. It comes under a group. Example, birth rate, death rate. This is a characteristic of a population. How you will say it? Per capita births and deaths. It's not for individual. It's an individual means it's a birth and the death. But here you are going to see birth rate and the death rate. Per capita births and deaths we will say. Here in NCRT you have come across with one formula also, number of births per initial population. They have not given the formula, but they have given 8 by 20 is equals to 0.4. One example, 0.4 offsprings per lotus per year. This was the example given in the NCRT. When you have taken as a generalized formula, you can make it as a number of births by initial population. Here you need to know in terms of NEET perspective and board perspective. This may be coming under MCQ or may come as a problem here. So this is one of the characteristic of a population. Next comes to the sex ratio. Sex ratio, how many females and males in a group of population. Next comes to the age distribution. Again, this is very important. As per the board and also per NEET, whatever the pyramids, age distribution pyramids are very, very important. Here you have only three types of pyramids. One is expanding, stable and declining. These three pyramids are given names based on the pre-reproductive, reproductive and post-reproductive populations. I'll give you a clarity on this. Pre-reproductive, reproductive, post-reproductive has been taken in a pyramid way, where expanding population, always an expanding population will have a pre-reproductive more, and reproductive less than the pre-reproductive, and post-reproductive less than the reproductive. So how it will looks? It will looks like a triangle. When it comes to a stable population, it will be bell shaped. When it comes to declining population, it is an urn shaped, and you can also call it as a color shaped. That is nothing but an urn shaped. So these are the three types of age pyramids based on the pre-reproductive, reproductive and post-reproductive age groups in a group of population. And then population density. See, normally population density you cannot only calculate based on the number. There are certain other parameters where you can take into consideration. For example, take a banyan tree and a carrot grass. That was the example given in the NCRT. You cannot take number and you cannot say banyan is only one and carrot grass is 100 in number. There it comes the picture of biomass. So the mass, obviously the banyan, the big banyan tree, the biomass will be more compared to the carrot grass. Large population like bacteria in a plate, relative population density can be taken. Say for example, in a Petri plate, you cannot calculate bacteria by sitting and calculating thousands of bacteria in a Petri plate. That time you can make it as a relative density. That means I will give you a clarity. Like say for example, per small area, whatever you are focusing, in that small area, if you are having a 20 microorganisms, 20 bacteria, then what is the diameter of total Petri plate? Then you will have, may say for example 1 millimeter of this particular 20 is there. If the total plate is having how much? So 1 millimeter is having 20 bacteria. Say for example 30 millimeters is having how many bacteria? So like that 30 into 20. So you may arrive at a 600. So it is a relative calculation. It's not absolute. It's a relative. And then one more thing is tiger reserves based on the pug marks and the fecal pellets. That is another kind of finding the density. No need to every time absolute. You can make it as a biomass. You can go with the relative, and you can go with the another thing like pug marks and the fecal pellets. This is finding population density. So not always with the numbers. And next is a population growth. Population growth, how you will calculate? It's a very simple logic. Natality, mortality, immigration and emigration. As per NCERT, which is detailedly given, natality, mortality, immigration and emigration. So birth rate, death rate, the one which is coming to the population, immigration, going out of the population, emigration. So this one will be given as a formula n t plus 1. After some point of time, what will be the population growth is equals to nt, that means initial population density, plus b plus I, birth rate plus immigration, minus d plus e, death rate plus emigration. So this gives nt plus 1 is equals to nt plus b plus I minus d plus e. This gives you the population growth. And finally growth models. This growth model, year on year they will be asking either in the MCQs or maybe in the 3 marker question. If you have learned this lesson, minimum 3 marks to maximum 4 marks is in your pocket. That is for sure. So when it comes to growth model, here only two types are there. Sorry. Exponential and logistic. Concentrate on this. More or less they will be giving the graph and asking which type of growth you will be having in this. That is the frequent questions, and give the equation for the graph what you have predicted and what happens if resources are limited or if resources are unlimited, because here these growth rates based on the resources. You have two types of growth curves. One is exponential, the other one is logistic. Exponential says that it happens when resources are unlimited. Resources are unlimited. That will never happen actually. Exponential is only theoretically, practically logistic. That's why we will also call as realistic growth model. Always logistic is a realistic growth model. Exponential is happening when resources are unlimited. So the equation is dn by dt is equals to Rn. It means change in density by time is equals to R. R stands for intrinsic rate of natural increase. You have to know about the shape of the graph will be J shaped. That is very important. Always exponential growth curve will be J shaped. And it has only two phases. One is lag phase, the other one is log phase. When it comes to logistic growth curve, it is realistic one when the resources are limited. And here comes the picture of one more letter, that is K. K stands for carrying capacity. And you will be getting a shape of the curve is S, sigmoid growth curve. That is J shaped, this is sigmoid. And dn by dt is equals to Rn. It doesn't obey any carrying capacity. It will keep on increasing. Nature's carrying capacity will not have any influence on this particular growth curve. But here it will become sigmoid, where once it reaches to the carrying capacity, it will be asymptote. That means it will be stagnant. This particular logistic growth curve is also called as Verlist Pearl logistic growth, and which is realistic one. Here also different phases are there. There are only two phases, that is lag and log. Here 4 phases: lag phase, acceleration phase, deceleration phase and asymptote. So these are the 4 different phases where you will see in logistic growth. One thing you remember, exponential is J-shaped, logistic is sigmoid shaped. And the formulas dn by dt is equals to Rn, and here dn by dt is equals to Rn will come, but here you are giving importance to the nature's carrying capacity. K minus n by k will be added to the equation in logistic growth curve, which is having much importance for the nature's carrying capacity. So this is all about the population characteristics, where you have come across with birth rate and death rate, sex ratios, age distribution, population density, population growth, and other growth model, exponential growth, logistic growth. When it comes to this, age pyramids are very important for MCQs, and this exponential logistic growth is very important for 3 marker questions. And chances are there in 2 marker, it may come age distribution and also birth rate and death rate, applying formula and finding the solution in a problem way. These are all expected questions from population characteristics. Then comes the picture of population interactions. I suggest you population interactions is much more easier than the population characteristics, because here the chances are there you may be little confused to one to other. But when it comes to here, I definitely agree many examples are there to remember, but once you remembered, there is no chance of being confused, either it may be a NEET or in NCRT. But here the problem or else the growth curves may create a kind of ambiguity based on the application based questions. So when it comes to population interactions, here the question from NCRT, as per the board pattern, they always ask the significance of predators, how the predation is useful. So first thing is predation. Herbivores are also predators. They are not no longer left out of. They are also predators. They are eating the plants. One thing is prey population control. Always prey population can be under the control. They cannot exceed. That is one of the application. Biological control method. Best example, ladybug. You can allow ladybug to eat an insect which affects the plants. So by using the predation, you will control in the agriculture. That is biological control method. Next, maintaining species diversity. So there will be not a interspecific competitions within the same species. Also intraspecific competition and interspecific competition will be avoided, so that all the species will be available. Maintaining species diversity, that is exactly given with the starfish disaster, which is one of the major predator. Giving that example, they were telling that in that particular example, if starfish disaster has removed almost 10 different species has been extinct in that particular area. So in that prey population control, biological control method, maintaining species diversity, these are all the points which you need to remember about the predation. And then the other points which comes under predation is they told about adaptations of plants. Adaptations of plants again can be asked, what are the adaptations? Under the adaptations, they have given morphological and chemical defense. One morphological, from the 7th standard you will be coming across with thorns and whatever that body will be of having some defense mechanism, particularly of thorns, and chemicals which is released. Example, calotropis, which is a weed. Cardiac glycosides are released. So which will affect the animal which will take up by these particular plants. And animals, camouflage, this usually animals do, and monarch butterfly distasteful. So this butterfly will have certain chemicals in the larval stage develop which makes them not tasty, so that no organism will like to have them. And camouflage, as you know, they will just hide behind the background. So these are all adaptations to avoid, to escape from the predator. That is what adaptations. They may ask about adaptations also. Next comes to the competition. Competition, in this you need to discuss very important thing is about the scientists. They will not ask you about, you talk about some, explain about competition or anything. Definitely they will be asking, discuss about Gauss exclusion principle, how the coexistence takes place. That all comes under MacArthur experiment and Connell's competitive release. All these things words will be used. Here Gauss exclusion principle, best example is Abingdon tortoise, extinct because of the goats. So explanation of Gauss exclusion principle, that means when two organisms are living together, two different species, the one which is fittest and which is more strengthened than the other organism will exceeds the number, and they will eliminate the one which is weaker than that which is weak than them. So that is Gauss exclusion principle, and that comes you can use the example of Abingdon tortoise extinct because of goats. Then comes to the competitive release, Connell's experiment, superior barnacles and smaller barnacles. So these two again superior one will eliminate the smaller ones. So that one will be, and competitive release means you release from the competition. That means if you grow them separately, superior one and smaller one both will grow. But you grow them together, obviously superior one will eliminate the smaller one. That is, you release the competition, then both will survive. If you put them under the competition, one only will survive. And finally, how they come across with things so that they can live together, and that is what 5 related species of warblers coexistence, that is comes under resource partitioning by MacArthur. This is also very important. They usually ask what is the mechanism they come up with to live, to survive, to avoid competition. That is what coexistence. You resource partitioning, different foraging habits in the same plant area. See, you in ninth standard NCRT textbook, there is a composite fish farming. That means you develop 4 to 5 different fishes in a particular lake or in a particular pond, where they have different habits, bottom feeders, middle area, and the top and the weed feeders, based on their foraging habits, how they we are making. That is what the beauty of the knowing biology. So you got to know the resource partitioning. What happened, you use it in fish farming. So the same thing here also, that in generally they have given with 5 related species of warblers living in a particular tree, having different foraging habits and different timings. That is comes under competition. And then comes under the parasitism. Here parasitism you need to go through co-evolve, that means both evolve together so that fit to each other. Adaptations like loss of sense organs. What are the adaptations, they may ask? You need to talk about sense organs, suckers, loss of digestive system, high reproductive capacity, complex life cycle, example malarial parasite. So all these things you need to go through. What are all the adaptations? And then ectoparasite and endoparasite. Ectoparasite some examples, endoparasite some examples. As I am giving you overview, I am just giving things that go in particular way. So here predation over, competition over, parasitism, under that what are all the adaptations for the to be a parasite, and then types of parasite, ecto and endoparasites, and some examples there. Very important is brooding parasitism, which is different. Cuckoo and crow. That means this cuckoo will lay the eggs in the crow nest and allow the crows to hatch them. So that is what comes under brooding parasitism. Next is commensalism. Here they have given 4 examples in the NCRT. So archid as epiphyte on mango, barnacles on the whale, egret on cattle, sea anemone on clownfish. These are the 4 examples given. And last is mutualism. Mutualism, where they have given many examples in that, that is a lichen, fungi and the algae, mycorrhiza, fungi and higher plants, plant and animal interactions, very important under mutualism. Past 2 to 3 years they are pointing on this particular relationships, plant and animal, pollination and seed dispersal. There also co-evolve is there, particularly sexual deceit. One of the petal resembles the female pseudo and female one, so that they will pseudo copulates. So it happens between the orchids and the bees. That is one of the example. And wasp and fig example is also very important, popular one. So fig and wasps, oviposition and seeds for nourishing larvae. This year they have asked in NEET, like in what happened in the May In that particularly they have asked fig is a non-vegetarian fruit. So assertion and reason, that question came. So based on the examples also you will get the particularly the questions in NEET also, or directly they may ask you explain or describe or illustrate or tell me and justify the statements in the this particular types. One thing, there is a table which is given in the NCRT, that is also very important, just to know about the relationship between two different organisms, like predation. One organism will be benefited, plus and minus signs, that is also very important. Where you need predation is plus and minus, competition minus minus, parasitism plus minus, commensalism. This is again a new commensalism. One is neutral 0 and another one is plus, and mutualism plus plus, that means both are getting benefited. Amensalism, one is 0 neutral, the other one is minus. That example Penicillium notatum and bacteria, where you can culture bacteria. If penicillin is there, it will just kills the bacteria, they will not get any advantage because of the this releasing chemicals into kill the bacteria. So fungi will not get anything, but bacteria will be died. So obviously that will be, bacteria will have a deterioration, that there it is a negative impact, and penicillium will have a zero impact on them. So mutualism, as I told, sexual deceit is important, and fig and wasp is very important, and some of the examples like lichens, mycorrhiza, these are also important. Plant and animal relationship, pollination, seed dispersal are one of the most expected outcome of plant and animal relationships, which benefits the plants in pollination and seed dispersal. When it comes to this different interactions, as I have told you, predation, competition, parasitism, commensalism, mutualism and amensalism. 6 different interactions are there which happens in between the different types of populations. Population interactions I have given you. So this is an overview about a chapter where it contains different contents of characteristics, that attributes and the interactions with lot of examples. This chapter will definitely gives you a 3 marker, but the moment you see the graph you feel that it is difficult, but at the end of the day when you write you will get out of out, and it is so easy to attempt. And the same way examples also, once you have write down and memorized these examples based on under different categories, it gives you definitely a right answer, you will land at a right answer. And this is all about the populations and interactions as per the NCRT. If you are looking for any detailed description of any topic under like growth models or any age pyramids, a detailed description, let me know in the comment section. Or any other topics, if you are interested to know an overview or a detailed description, please let me know in the comment section. Bye bye.